What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Just wrapped up what I feel like is one of the first two-game series of the year outside of the Yankee series against the Washington Nationals. Quick and easy one. Not a whole lot to talk about here. We're going to talk about as much as we can with these games with you guys, as you know. I am also currently ripping a fantasy football draft as we speak. Bad scheduling on my part. Completely forgot that Wednesday night was going to be a late-night game for the Mets while we have the recording, but luckily we've got James here with me as well to help me out, maybe make these last few picks here. Of course, before we do get going into it, guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're looking for the YouTube video, go to the New York Mets YouTube channel and subscribe over there. And if you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, it's the 15th round of my draft, pick 143. Mm-hmm. Who am I looking for here? What kind of player should I be picking here? That'll be the last of the fantasy football talk from us.
It's such fantasy football week right now. I think we've both had tons of drafts like every single night. But
yeah,
we're pulling all the baseball listeners in with some fantasy football talk early. I mean, you got to shoot for the moon. Take a rookie lottery tickets. Could do something crazy. Kendra Miller, Marvin
Give
Mims,
me a name.
Ty Spears. Those are my favorites.
Let's go Kendra Miller.
Yeah.
Kendra Miller. Let's go Ty J.
21 years old. He's like 215 pounds. He's a physical specimen. He's great college production. He could be a monster.
Well, I went against your pick. I went Ty Spears. Now it's kicker and defense. We don't have to hear about that.
Not at all. I did the same thing in the draft yesterday. I went Ty over Kendra Miller because I just have Kendra Miller in so many teams. Where I'm like some little diversification. But weird, fun, strange Mets week. Just 2-game series in the middle of the week. Weird not having the Mets on Labor Day. Really didn't like that.
Yes.
So I think this year the Mets didn't play on either Memorial Day or Labor Day, if I remember correctly.
Which is crazy, too, because I think I've been to a Labor Day game in Washington before, Mets Nationals. I think I went in 2019.
That was the game.
They played. Yeah. So, I wasn't at that one. I was there for the Sunday then. I was there right before Labor Day. That was the game. Oh, God.
Monday night, that was the game. Yeah. Mets lost the World Series that night.
You're not joking.
No.
Dude, that was just the worst loss ever. Okay. No more bad game talk. No more bad game talk. Let's talk about the good one. But yeah, crazy they didn't play on Labor Day. It feels like Labor Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day are all days that every single baseball team should be playing, no matter what.
And no Mets and no Yankees on Labor Day. So New York City had no baseball on Labor Day. Weird. So weird.
No. Bizarre. But yeah, game one. Game one was good. I mean, the bats came out swinging. Bats came out hot. It was fantastic. This is the kind of stuff you expect the Mets to do to the Nationals at the start of the season. Obviously, our records are kind of similar, so can't really trash the Nationals too much here. But, I mean, that was what you expected when you thought of these two teams playing this year.
Totally. And there was a lot of good feeling going into this game because this was the first time we had all 4 baby Mets in a lineup together. Brett Baty, Francisco Álvarez, Ronny Mauricio, and Mark Vientos. And all of them were part of the offensive just onslaught that we gave to Patrick Corbin and the Washington Nationals, which was a good feeling. Started off hot right away. Then when Lindor got on, eventually they came around on a freaking moonshot from Francisco Álvarez that was just hammered 420 feet. He admired it, spread out to left field. It was just beautiful, beautiful home run. 22nd of the year for Álvarez.
His first home run since August 1st as well, which he desperately needed to get one. Yeah, he hadn't hit one since August 1st, I believe, was the date.
I really think there was one in between there. I'm going to double check you right now as I just
double check it. They said it on the broadcast. They said it on the broadcast.
Oh, they said it on the broadcast. I believe in them. Yeah, it was a radio game for me, but let's see. Fangraphs.
Yeah, but I mean, Alvarez all day. Definitely needed that one. Definitely he's been in a little bit of a funk. I think we know that, but to see him swing the bat well, he's been hitting the ball harder recently, a little more consistently. Good to get the camel off his back there a little bit and start playing a little bit better at the plate.
Yeah, Alvarez also, and this happens to, I think, to a lot of young players and get their first run in the major leagues because, like, I'm never going to say that any level of baseball for any player is easy, but I definitely think there was a point in time where Francisco Álvarez was just, having his fun with the minor leagues. Like, he never, at any level of the minor leagues, his lowest WRC plus was 121, and that was just a 20-game sample to end 2022 in AAA. But last year he played 100 and I'm doing this mental math right now. Great podcasting. 112 games, and he is at 110 now for this season. So you kind of hit a wall like that when you catch every single day. You're getting inundated with information as you are with a catcher like Alvarez. You're learning so many new things. Also, another tidbit we got from the game on Tuesday: learning English on the side, like really making great strides there. Cool soundbite from Gelbs that he told him, like, hey, I want to do a practice interview in English and I want to do one for real. And he did one for real after the game on Tuesday. Then him and Alan dapped up a little bit. He gave that like wonderful Francisco Álvarez grin. It was a cool moment. But young player, you're going to hit a wall when you've played more competitive baseball in a row than you've ever played in your entire life. And I think that's fine. Like, I'm happy that as Mets fans and even just as us in the show, like Francisco Álvarez has been so good this year that he's earned so much goodwill that like no one's really going to be like, oh my God, his stats are falling apart. No, it's not like that at all. Like Francisco Álvarez has the second most home runs ever for a catcher in a single season before they turn 22 years old. He's only 4 behind Johnny Bench now for the record there. And yeah, no home runs since that home run in Kansas City on August 1st. That's an incredibly long time. That's nuts. But again, just it's no qualms with this guy. Every single thing he does is great. He even stole his first career base on Tuesday night, which is really cool. Just so happy to see him be happy.
Yeah, the Mets are in a better place when Francisco Álvarez is swinging it well. And like you said, it was also cool to just see the 4 baby Mets in the lineup, as you alluded to earlier. Seeing Vientos, Baty, Mauricio, Alvarez in there. Those guys that all came up together, played together. It felt like they really just kind of jolted a little bit of energy into the lineup and everybody kind of fed off of it. It was a fantastic game offensively.
Yeah, and a lot of firsts for those guys as well Tuesday night. First career triple for Mark Vientos. I mentioned the first career steal for Francisco Álvarez, and he was like kind of funny about it after. He was like, yeah, they just told me to go, and I just went. They didn't even throw. And the first career RBI for Ronny Mauricio, who just continues to look like this is the word for Mauricio, such an athlete in the box and in the field. He's just like, again, like Monday night, like Jets Bills, like what's he doing? Like, why can't he go on the outside? Like, why can't he go up for a jump ball? I don't know if he's ever thrown or caught a football just coming from the Dominican Republic, but I'd love to see him do it. Also, home runs from Lindor, Pete, and 2 from Nimmo, and just overall one of the best offensive games for the Mets of the whole season.
Yeah, it was really, really enjoyable to watch. Just a beatdown of the Washington Nationals. Again, while I was ripping, I had 2 more fantasy drafts last night. Completely missed one of them because my cousin, shout out Teddy, he's like 40, I think, is his age, and they only communicate through email. So me, didn't check my email, expect like a group text message. I checked my email just because we're making a trip to Chicago. The day that you guys are listening to this, we'll be in Chicago for the game. And I checked the email to see what the bookings were and, flight information. And I go, oh my God, the football draft started. Let me get in there. Started at 9:00. I made the last pick right before keeper. So I made the last pick of the draft, was taken out after that. But yeah, I mean, like, to talk about Quintana too. Quintana pitched another great game. Should we say it one more time for the people here?
Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, where this team could be if we had him all year long. Could have used him in May and June.
Definitely, because the length that he's just giving us on a regular basis and like the steady consistency is amazing. Tuesday night, he went 7 innings, only allowed 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned run. First time completing 7 innings in a Mets uniform, which was great. He only hasn't completed 6 innings twice. One of those was a 70-pitch outing against the White Sox in his Mets debut. Another one was in Atlanta where he went 5 2/3, just gave us some runs. So can't fault him for that. But the guy's just so freaking steady. It's incredible. He threw a lot of curveballs this time out. It was his primary pitch after kind of quitting throwing that pitch last start against the Rangers, which we talk about how long weeks feel. That feels like it happened a long time ago, starting against the Rangers. And I had my crazy cousins in Citi Field. Oh, Anthony, my little cousin said something really funny in a group chat the other day. I wanted to tell you, but I forgot. I'll try to remember as we go along here. But Quintana now 54 innings in the Mets uniform. ERA is 3.00. But something kind of weird, which is a little ironic considering the little quip we say for him every time out, like how different things would have been if he was out there. Mets are weirdly 2-7 in his games.
It's nothing to his fault.
No, of course. He keeps throwing quality starts.
Him.
Yeah, it's just, I guess he's that's just it. Some just lack of run support because he's pitches so well. But got a lot of run support in this one. Probably one of the Mets' best offensive games of the entire season. 17 hard hit balls. 7 times this year they've done that. First time they did that since July 6th. And they did that 5 of those 7 times between April 20th and May 28th. So definitely had that hot streak for the offense. So good to see it happening again. Nimmo talked about having 2 home runs, 4 hard hit balls. 4th time this whole year he's done that. He did that twice in a 2-week span in April, and then also twice in the last 3 weeks. But that OPS is creeping back up to 800. He's looking like he's going to get at least 25 home runs if all things, go according to plan here. It's just continues to be one of the most underrated players in baseball. And Ronny Mauricio, 3 hard hit balls. As of the end of the game on Tuesday, over 50% of his balls in play were hit above 95 miles an hour or hard hit. So just continues to do crazy things. Beautiful game.
Yeah, Ronny Mauricio, fun player to watch, making some good plays too in the field defensively, looking very comfortable at second base. Totally feels like he fits in completely. Excited to see these guys up, excited to see him playing, and good easy win for the Mets. Nice and easy. We got like a little stress, but I think that's just Mets fans PTSD playing in Washington around this time. So game 1, great win. Moving on to game 2, José Butto, our guy. We saw the last time we saw him pitch out in relief, and he was phenomenal. He was great. I mean, he had us oogling and ogling about just like, whoa, this new José Butto in this like short term, maybe like little long stretch reliever role. Pretty disgusting. Then we saw him start today against Washington, and he looked really good as well.
He did. I mentioned to you guys that when you went back down to the minor leagues, for some reason the sinkers came up in a big way, and they hadn't. That was not the case on Wednesday night, but heavy fastball arsenal, over 50% of the pitches he threw, then mixed in sliders and changeups. When we saw him in relief, it was mostly fastballs and changeups and some sliders. That was the pitch I mentioned to you guys. That was the gyro slider, which, if you remember, is a slider that falls over itself, almost mimics a curveball movement, but has slider spin. And again, like it falls over itself, just like blah, blah, blah. So it's dropping much more than it's sliding. That pitch was really good. The fastball was sat 95. That slider sat 87. The changeup was 86. Every pitch was up in velocity across the board. We definitely, again, once he hit that like 55, 60 pitch mark, you saw the velocity tail down again. But in that 7th inning that he came back out for, couldn't finish. You saw him get a couple more pitches back up into the 96 range. This is a guy, I mentioned it with McGill too, where it kind of felt like I don't know what the future is going to hold, but he looks like someone who absolutely should be on a major league roster and pitching, if not every 5th day, like every 3rd out of the bullpen for bulk, because he's doing a lot of good things. And something else that was this is going to be weird, I'm going to say is a positive, but like hear my logic on it real quick. José Butto, I wouldn't even really say had great command in this start. Like he was leaving a lot of pitches over the middle, including his fastball. He was burying a lot of changeups, low and into the right-handers and outside to the lefties. And then the slider, again, sliders were kind of all over the place. He had a couple on the edge, a couple were hung. But even with him not having very good command, he was still incredibly effective. And that's a testament to the stuff. Like that's kind of a way you can tell when guys have good stuff. The thing that really elevated Tyler Glass now, which I'm just mentioning him because he's on the mind. He had 14 strikeouts Wednesday in 6 innings, and he's just one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. The Rays installed for him something called a universal target, where his stuff was so nasty, they just told him, hey, aim everything down the middle. We really don't care. Like, stop trying to pick off corners. Like, stop trying to be a pitcher from the 1990s. Just, you are so good. Your stuff is so alien. Just throw it. And they're probably not going to hit anyway. If they do, I don't know how much they're really going to do with it consistently. And that really changed the game for Tyler Glasnow. I learned that from a great video from someone I mentioned on here a lot, great guy on Twitter, Lance Brosdowski. But again, I don't think that's what the plan is with Budo. It doesn't seem like that. It didn't look like Omar Narvaez was set up in the middle. It looked like he was moving his stuff around like you normally would. But just the fact that, again, the command wasn't great. A lot of stuff did wind up hung, and a lot of pitches that were probably supposed to just be in the shadow wound up being wasted. It still was very effective, and this is such an amazing step forward for José Butto.
100%. Like, looked like you said, you could kind of tell when stuff was tailing off a little bit as the game goes later and later. One thing they kept mentioning too on the SNY broadcast was how horrible his numbers were realistically in AAA, and how if you saw the numbers there and saw how he's pitched the last 2 times at the majors, you would be like, who is this guy? That can't be the same guy, because he's looked really, really solid. Good stuff here with José Butto. Of course, getting the start because Carlos Carrasco landed on the IL for what seems like it's going to be the year, 4 to 6 weeks. I think he sprained his finger on a 50-pound dumbbell.
Yeah, I think they might have said it was broken. He got surgery, but not important.
Yeah, just sucks for Carlos Carrasco. Wish the best for him. Hope for a quick recovery. And then just to talk about the offensive side a little bit here. Not a lot in this game, and Mets end up losing this one, as you know, in a walk-off in the 9th inning. But just like watching Ronny Mauricio play again, Brett Baty got a nice hit too at some point in this game. But Mauricio, like you said, such an athlete, stealing bases, hitting the ball hard, constantly just putting himself in advantageous positions to make something happen, which is just so refreshing to see.
It is. And it's just, you really feel like it's probably also just a feeling thing. And we talked about this in the last episode, but the fact that you get down to the 8th spot in the line, you're like, oh, yes, Ronny Mauricio's hitting. Like, I really like watching Ronny Mauricio play baseball. Like, this guy has a lot of things that you don't really see every day. And like 2 more hits, like for 400 batting average and only a handful of games. Like it's not like these balls are just like squeaking through and finding holes. Like, it's happening sometimes, but he had a rope for 112 miles an hour single in the 1st inning, which gave you the win in Esti-Met this week. But he just, again, he has the ability to do things on a baseball field, or just in general in life, that like not many other people have the physical abilities to get done. And you can just see that. Like, it's a cool thing. It's a really cool thing watching him play. And you talked about Baty having a hard hit ball. Also made a really nice defensive play in the late innings on Tuesday when the game was kind of seemingly out of reach. Yep. Maybe some people had flipped it off. Went behind the bag and used what is an incredibly underrated throwing arm. He again, like where Brett Baty struggled this year, I think defensively has been kind of with his feet and with his hands, but the arm is reliable and the thing's a cannon. So really nice to see him build up the confidence there. Also nice to see him hitting fifth against a right-handed pitcher on Wednesday night. 2 hard balls again, still a strikeout, but it seems like he laces 1 or 2 every single night still.
100%. And like we know that as we play like more contending teams, the line's going to shift around a little bit. There might be some guys playing here or there in different spots because we do have some big series coming up against teams competing for a wild card spot. Technically, we are still too. Totally not theoretically out of it whatsoever, especially because got to play the Reds, the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, and the Marlins. That's all we have left, and the Twins technically this upcoming weekend. But if you can win, let me get crazy. If you can win like, I think there's like 19 games or 20 games left against those teams. If you win them all, things can be getting a little crazy around here. So something to keep an eye out for. Still need to play strong in Minnesota, though. Winning tonight would help, too.
It's still on the table. 10-game winning streak at any point for this Mets team. Mark and I will split a real pizza, and we will both become physically ill for like 24 to 48 hours. It's on the table. If the Mets do it,
sick.
we'll stream it. I don't care. Like, it'll be kind of funny. Like, not like the bad parts of it, but
Good
like
content.
we'll eat the pizza. I'd like to eat the pizza. I can eat the pizza wet on a podcast in a full kit. Like that would just be all of our punishments in one shot. That'd be great.
Wow. Just knock them all out there. Yeah. I mean, like the game lost late, like you said. Budo came out for the 7th. Looked like he just kind of didn't really have it. Trevor Gott came in, couldn't clean it up, and then the Mets just lost in the 9th inning. Phil Bickford finally got hit as it met. So I don't know.
Really, baby.
It's kind of just like what it is. Like they lost, right? I don't know what else to say there.
I was hanging out with a friend today before recording, and she is not aware of sports in any capacity, but she supports me like in everything I do. She's a really good friend. And I was like, Mets lost late. That stinks. She was like, does it make you sad when the Mets lose? And I was like, usually yes, but right now, no. like how they lose, maybe it can still make me mad. I did mention that like the first time I've gotten really mad was last week against the Rangers, that first game where like that was the first time the Mets made me feel angry in months, which I was like, ooh, I forgot what that felt like. I was a nice shiver through my spine. Like I am upset that the Mets have blown this game, but yeah, like, and generally, yes, I'm sure you guys can all attest to that if you're still listening to this podcast in the dog days of summer here with football around the corner. Happy football also if you're listening to this on Thursday. It's football day. But
yes,
the Mets losing, yes, it does generally make me sad, but not today.
Yeah, no, not today. Not today. We got a lot to look forward to, including a great series up against the Minnesota Twins in the Great North this weekend, which we'll talk about here in a second. Before we do, of course, we have to cover the Esti-Met. I won this one. Ronny Mauricio, hardest hit ball. John, of course, it's a late night, newborn. He's a father now. He's got to get to bed at like 8:30 if he's not working. And he went and texted us the Esti-Met for this one. He gave us an intro, too, in the text, which I'm going to read. Pete is hot, and he has the longest home run in StatCast era by a Met, which he hit at Target Field back in 2019, 489 feet. So the Esti-Met for this episode will be the longest batted ball by Pete Alonso in this series, to which I got a number. You gonna
whiteboard then? No.
Nah, I got important stuff written on my whiteboard. I can't really erase it right now.
Dude, yeah, you inspired me. I've been to-do lists in the whiteboard as well. It's been really helpful the last couple of days.
It's good.
It's kind of great, yeah. But yeah, I got number 2.
I've been trying to become more productive.
Yeah, that Pete home run in Minnesota 2019 was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen ever happen on a baseball field.
And if I remember correctly, did he hit it off Tyler's brother? Did he hit it off Trevor McGill?
I feel like say that out loud. Yeah, I'm gonna check it right now because this is gonna be
look up the highlight.
This is some good podcasting. I'm gonna schedule this tweet for Friday morning. The last time Pete Alonso was in Target Field. I'm sure we're going to be the first people to tweet that. And there's definitely not an inundation of people on Mets Twitter tweeting the last time things happened. But yeah, let's find it. This is such good podcasting. You guys love when we do good podcasting.
This is before SNY fixed their score bug to tell you who was also pitching.
I mean, you can't look at the guy.
I can't read the name. It's like not HD. What is happening? The guy's huge, which does play for Trevor McGill.
But Trevor.
I also don't want to slander the McGill family.
No, of course not. It's a great family. Did you just call him Charlie McGill?
No, I call him Trevor. I don't call him Charlie.
It's late night podcast, guys. It's wacky hours. Minnesota. StatCast will have it. I'm here. Hold on.
Yeah, look it up on StatCast.
This is such a funny coincidence. You thought it was Trevor McGill. It was Matt Magill. Magill.
Okay.
Oh my god, wacky podcast.
So close.
Oh my god, he is 31st home run of the season
on a Wednesday,
on July 17th. Wow. I miss 2019 Pete Alonso. The 2019 baseball, as stupid as it was, wow, was that good content.
I mean, some of my favorite like tweets are still like those like clips of like a guy like bunting and then it goes over the fence and everybody going crazy, or even just like the cheap home runs that did get out that year where you're like, he got sawed off. How'd that go 330 feet?
This ball hit like 20 rows in not the second deck, but the third deck of Target Field. Such good podcasting, scrapping a home run. And hit the chair so hard, it bounced like all the way back into the field. Plastic. That's how hard it was hit. Man, what was the actual exit velocity? Only 111. That's funny.
You got your number, by the way?
I do.
All right. I got my number 2. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. 411.
412.
Whoa. Wow. How do we keep doing this?
That's crazy. We got the hive mind.
Wow.
That was nuts.
That's so interesting that we were just like on the same wavelength there of the 411, 412.
That's amazing.
We gotta do something with this. I don't know.
I mean, remember we played that game that one time outside of that club in Greenpoint?
Yes.
So yeah, a little funny story.
You should explain because people don't know.
No, I will. This is actually right when we started the podcast, like right the summer I moved back to New York after moving out of when we lived together. There we were just like in line waiting to get into like a fun like disco club out in Greenpoint with some people, and people were playing like word games on the line, like trying to make the time go by. And the whole point of the game is that you work with a partner and you have to get to the same word in as little tries as possible. So some chicken line asked us, she's like, all right, you guys see how many tries it takes you to get to the same word. And so I remember we did now. It was, I think the 2 words we said, I think you said Mike Piazza and I just said baseball. Or I think you said baseball and I said Italian. And whatever happened, the second thing we both said was Pete Alonso. And we were like, oh, she was like, whoa. She's like, you guys witches or something? But that was a funny one. Yeah, good times over there. Good times at Pony Boy.
Yeah, it was a fun time for sure. All right, I hope we win this. We got to use these numbers to our advantage. Although, no, we don't hope I win. We hope James wins because that means the Mets win the series. You guys want to see me lose. Yeah. That's the big one there.
Getting ready to preview this Twin series. It's kind of, I feel like it's also becoming a bit of a meme that every single time I read the expected pitchers off ESPN, they're always wrong. Like Jonah,
I think you have to stop using ESPN for these because now
it's kind of funny because like also I totally picked that Ronny Mauricio exit velocity in the last Esti-Met because I thought we were going to be facing Mackenzie Gore and Patrick Corbin, 2 lefties. He was going to hit righty, not as much exit velocity. Second inning, Jonah Don's on the mound, threw a meatball down the middle. Ronny Mauricio smoked at 111.5. Like okay, that was the problem there. So maybe it's just better for you if we're doing the bad schedules because I'm just using less information. But again, as ESPN lists them, probably incorrect. Kodai Senga versus Dallas Keuchel. Wow. What an ensemble of veteran pitchers are going to face this weekend in Minnesota, allegedly. Kodai Senga versus Dallas Keuchel. Also, you guys, the Kodai Senga interview dropped yesterday when you're listening to this. Go listen to that if you haven't. Him and Hiro, great times. Kodai is a very stern, serious individual, very with Japanese culture, but we got him loosen up a little bit, and he had his fun as always. Shared a really hilarious story about a certain manga anime that he loved and like him using it in baseball when he was younger, like in high school or middle school or something. So pretty funny. And with that interview, we're going to be dropping a Kodai Senga baseball giveaway probably sometime next week. So also be on the lookout for that. We gave away the DJ Stewart ball. Next week's going to be Kodai Senga. And then Saturday, 2:10 game. Interesting start time for a game.
Okay.
David Peterson versus Kenta Maeda.
Okay.
And Sunday, also 2:10. That'll be happy football. Tyler McGill versus old friend Pablo Lopez.
Which, if it was in Citi Field, would be feeling even better. Yeah. To be fair, Pablo Lopez is also way better than he was with the Marlins, which is kind of crazy because he was a good pitcher. But he went to Minnesota in what was probably one of the most underappreciated fleece jobs because they traded Luis Arias, who I know is hitting 350.
He's
having a great year. He's having a good year. He's a good player. But Pablo Lopez is an awesome pitcher and just more valuable. It's just that simple.
Totally. And when you looked at team contacts, I'll get in the soapbox for this trade for a second. You saw the Minnesota Twins already had Jorge Polanco. We know they brought back Carlos Correa after some fanfare. They had Royce Lewis, who, wow, is Royce Lewis a freaking ball player. Really they also had Edward Julien in the minor leagues, who's also profiles as like a first base, second base, third base type, similar to Arias, who probably is going to piss people off.
Yeah.
Edward Julien, probably within another season or two, is probably more valuable than Luis Arias. He just gets on base just as much and has more power. What do you want me to say? And you could just pick up a guy like Kyle Farmer off the scrap heap for free always. And he's a guy who could half, like a third of what Luis Arias does. But this Twins team is playing some great baseball right now. They're kind of hitting their stride much later than most Twins teams hit their strides.
Ever.
Yeah, so this is like they've also like been lucky. Like sometimes baseball has scheduling quirks that just work out. Them playing the Texas Rangers 7 times in their last 12 games, as the Texas Rangers are playing their worst baseball of the season. Also, quick minor league report: everyone should listen to the future of Flushing always. But
yeah, definitely.
Luis Angel Acuna hit 2 home runs for Binghamton Wednesday night, on the same night that Max Scherzer got blown up by the Astros in Texas. So that's something that happened. Just 2 things that happened the same day, but. Yeah, so the Twins kind of used those 2 series against the Rangers to springboard a nice hot streak, because it was also segmented by 2 series with the Guardians, which they just recently won 2 out of 3 against them this week. And they're really hitting the ball right now. They're really hitting the ball. Edward Julian coming back up the top of the order is huge. Jorge Polanco and Royce Lewis spent most of each of their seasons on the IL, and each of them have come back to massive power surges. Royce Lewis, just as a quick aside, has 3 grand slams in... I'm going to get how many games he's played this year right now against.
I think it's his first 12 home runs.
Yeah, he has 12 home runs, 11 home runs on this season in general. 3 of those are grand slams in only 45 games, 180 plate appearances, which is a stupid ratio.
Ooh,
he had what?
I got a fact for you.
Mm.
Can you guess the other player who has done that? That's in Major League Baseball right now. I think there's only one other player. He's currently playing.
Oh, in the league right now? I know there's that funny stat that like Paul O'Neill hit 12 grand slams, something his entire career, or 6 grand slams his entire career, and they all happened in one season, which is really funny.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Codified tweets that went out like every 3 months. Just keep on the lookout for it, because they recycle a lot of content. But I'm still a good Twitter account. In Major League Baseball now, is it a weird guy?
I'll give you the team.
Okay.
Dodgers.
Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor.
Oh, it was Chris Taylor. Yeah. I knew it was something weird like that. Some reason my mind went to Altuve. He just hits a home run every at bat now as well. But in 45 games this season, Royce Lewis has 39 RBIs. Which if you put that over a whole season, you'd be making Hack Wilson sweat for his all-time record with a 320, 370, 540 triple slash and 150 WRC plus. For a guy who was a top draft pick, saw his prospect status fade, probably just because he was so raw and just more of an athlete than a baseball player. 2 torn ACLs in back-to-back years when he was actually starting to play well, and then to come back in the middle of a pennant race and hit third on a team that's going to win their division. You guys give it up to the guy and we talked about like JP Crawford last episode, how sometimes that top prospect status, top draft pick can kind of weigh on guys. It's not happening to Royce Lewis right now, and he is doing everything and more for this Minnesota Twins team.
Yeah, they've got Joey Gallo still, Max Kepler, Matt Wallner's a fun player who hits the ball really, really hard, has some power. Jorge Polanco's on fire. Ryan Jeffers hits baseball so shockingly hard. For those of you who don't know, he should be playing catcher every single day for that team. Christian Vasquez should be banished to the minor leagues, or just not on the major league roster. Should be Ryan Jeffers every single day. He's a beast. It's a very good team. Very good team. They are the Twins, though, and Rocco Baldelli is their manager, so it's very beatable for sure. He'll do something that'll make you scratch your head. But they are playing really good baseball, like you said, and I think it might be a little bit of a slugfest this series.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be. And also, I want to shout out Max Kepler, because he's a guy who I think fell by the wayside because he had such a bad first couple weeks of the season. It was really rough, but since the beginning of May, just since May 1st, we could even be tricky and take a couple extra days because he was hitting well at the end of April. He's got 18 home runs and a 120 WRC plus. So the guy who just is a very steady player that team has for no money whatsoever. He's good. And something else that this Twins team has, they've one of the most fun bullpens in the whole league. And it's headlined by Joan Duran, who I think has probably the best stuff of any reliever in baseball. You guys are going to get to see the splinker up close, which is basically a pitch that he invented, which is a splitter and a sinker at the same time. So it drops like a splitter, but it throws it 100 miles an hour. It's kind of ridiculous. They also have Griffin Jacks back there, a converted starter who didn't really do that well as a starter, but has gone to the bullpen and looks incredible every single time he comes in. Lots of fun players. This Twins team is always so on the precipice of oh, they're good, but then it's always something is not good. They just do. It's weird. They're a weird team, but they definitely do a lot of things correctly.
Last player I'm shouting out here, fun name, Cody Funderburk.
Nice.
Funderburk.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
That's a cool one. And some fun players in the IL. Alex Kirilloff was finally getting his legs under him after years and years of not fulfilling potential and getting hurt. Byron Buxton's having a really weird season, and kind of called out the Twins for saying that it's hard for him to be engaged in the game when he's not playing center field. Yeah. But also every time he plays center field, he breaks a bone. So it's it's a Sophie's choice for the organization there. But this team is so them. I don't know how to describe it. They are the Twins. That's what they always are.
It's a lineup that when they get hot, they can run through you. But if they get cold, which they're very susceptible to do, they can't beat anybody. They're like so hot and cold, this team, extremely streaky, currently hot. Andrew Stevenson's still on this roster. We hate him. He's going to do something big. I know it if he's still there. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much it for this one. Short episode, short series. Got a big one in Minnesota coming up. James, you got anything else to say, or is it time to wrap this one up?
I mean, nothing else. It's going to be a fun weekend for the Mets in Minnesota. They're a fun team, and also just happy football to all those that observe.
Yes, go Commanders. Big game against the Cardinals coming up here. I'm sure we're going to be talking about a big W over Josh Dobbs, right? Josh Dobbs, I think, is the Cardinals quarterback right now.
He's probably going to start over Clayton. Sing my tune.
Oof, that's a bad team. Can't lose to them. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure you're following us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the New York Mets YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And me, Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace out. See you guys next time.